Welcome, everyone. This is the MasterClass. My name is Patricknazareth. I have around 30 years of teaching experience. I hope to be able to dispel your doubts should you have any. We are going to look at the chapter Lost Spring Stories of Stolen Childhood, written by the author Anees Jung. Anees Jung was born on the 15th of December 1944. She was born into a very noble family. Her father was the chief minister of the then Nizam of Hyderabad. She was born in Rourkela. She grew up in Hyderabad. Her fame rests on a very good book called Unveiling India, written in 1987. It is an account of the lives of women in India, most especially the Muslim women who live their lives behind the parda or behind the veil that they are forced to wear. We all come from good families where we do not have to worry about our food or about our clothes or about anything that we require for our daily needs. But what about the other children, the children that we see on the streets? Anees Jung writes about two of them. This story is basically in two parts about two different children. The first part, it is the story of Saheb. The story opens with how the author and Saheb meet. She sees him often in the garbage, picking it up, going through it, looking for something which he can sell. She questions him. What is he doing? Why isn't he in school? He says he has no school to go to. She makes him a promise. Would you go to school if I made one for you? He happily says yes. Days later they meet again and Saheb reminds her, have you made your school? Can I join now? The author feels bad because she had made a promise that was not meant to be kept. However, she consoles herself with the thought that anyways, promises like this, which are never kept, are made up and down in this country of ours. We should not believe in such promises at all. She asks him his name. What is the name of the boy? And it turns out his name is Saheb-e-Alam. Saheb-e-Alam literally means the master of the universe. It's a very ironic name for a boy who does not even have shoes on his feet and who is reduced to going through garbage. Where has this boy come from who is reduced to going barefoot all the time? The author questions the children that she meets other than Saheb. Why do they go barefoot? It turns out that one of them doesn't own shoes. Another prefers not to wear the slippers that his mother gives out to him. The author reflects that maybe going barefoot is not just a tradition in our country. Perhaps going barefoot is also a pointer to the fact that our country is very poor and people cannot afford shoes. Where do we meet this boy? We meet him in a place called Simapuri, a locality in Delhi. Years ago in 1971, there was a war between India and Pakistan which led to the creation of Bangladesh. Refugees from Bangladesh came and settled down in Simapuri. Here they live in small hovels, in small mud houses. They have no water. They have no electricity. They do not even have proper drainage. They perpetually just exist. They survive. They have ration cards, so they are allowed to vote. They are allowed to have some food. And for them, that is the most important thing. Dhaka, where they have come from, is a place which is very beautiful, green, rivers, beautiful environment, but they don't get food there. For these people, food is the most important thing in their lives. It is the reason for their existence, that they are able to have a full stomach. A child that is born to them is simply a partner in survival. The child also looks to the garbage just like they do, and they use that money in order to have full meals, in order to just exist. There's a difference between the way the children look at it though. The children look at it with pride, because sometimes when they go through garbage, they find a rupee here, maybe a 5 rupee there, maybe a 10 rupee there. And that makes them very happy. And it gives them renewed energy to go looking through the rest of the garbage. She comes upon Saheb once. He is standing outside a club, watching people play tennis through the fence. He talks to her. He tells her that sometimes when the club is empty, the gatekeeper, who must be a kind man, allows him to go inside and play on the swing. He would like to be a part of such a club. One day she sees him with a pair of tennis shoes on his feet and he's very happy. He was given those shoes by somebody. She can see that one of the shoes has a hole in it. She understands that whoever has given it to him has basically thrown it away, discarded it. But to a boy who has never owned a pair of shoes, that is very, very important to him, that at least right now he has a pair of shoes on his feet. Never mind the holes in it. The last time she runs into Saheb-e-Alam is when she sees him coming down the road. This time, he's carrying a large steel vessel. What is in that vessel? He's going to get milk. He has just joined a tea stall. He has become an employee. He's earning 800 rupees a month. For him, a good amount. But she can see that he's not happy. There is no joy in him. There is no sparkle in his eyes. Because he has made the transition from being a free man who could do whatever he wanted to becoming an employee who must do what his master wants. The second story is that of Mukesh. She meets Mukesh in a town called Firozabad. Mukesh has a childhood dream. He would like to become a driver. He would like to become a mechanic. Firozabad is a place where the bangle making industry thrives. Who works in the bangle making industry? Young children, old women, old men, young men. The entire family comes together to work. Their working conditions are very, very bad. There is no proper ventilation. There is no proper lighting. In fact, conditions are so bad that most of them who work in this bangle industry go blind. We are given a description of the colony where he lives. It is stinking. Why? The sewage is probably flowing freely. The hovels are half built. There are no windows, just a door. Some don't even have doors. They have torn pieces of plastic or torn sheets hanging in the doorway. He is very proud of his house, however, because he says it is being rebuilt. So he takes the author down to his house and she enters. They enter through an iron door and she can see that the house is half built. They're trying to rebuild it again. Who greets them? His bhabi, the bahu of the house. She is hunched over a fire cooking a meal for whom 3 people. Her husband, which is Mukesh's elder brother, Mukesh himself, and her father-in-law. Obviously, she's cooking for herself and her mother-in-law as well. When the father-in-law comes in, she covers her face and retreats because he is the elder of the house and women are supposed to veil themselves in front of their elders. The mother-in-law explains away her husband's blindness. The old man is blind. He has spent his whole life working very hard. First he was a tailor, then a bangle seller. What has he been able to achieve? A house that he cannot even renovate properly. Couple of children who he cannot even school. What has he been able to give them after working hard all his life? He has just given them the ability to make bangles. We also meet Savita. Savita is a young girl. She is sitting outside making bangles with an old lady. She is too young to understand the meaning of the bangles that she is making. Those bangles are worn by married women. Perhaps one day when she is grown up and these same bangles are forced onto her hand, she will realize the meaning of these bangles. The old woman is working and her husband is working also. Her husband has at least been able to build a house, has been able to have a roof over their heads, which actually sets him apart from everybody else that we know who have not been able to do that. If you look at Mukesh's father, he has gone blind. And what is the explanation of the mother? That is his destiny. He has tried hard all his life, but if he's been unable to provide for me, for his children, for himself, it is our destiny too. These women, these people, these children are trapped in a circle of exploitation. Who exploits them? Everyone. The middlemen who buy the bangles from them, the sahukars, the shopkeepers, the politicians, the police. Because if they try to form a cooperative, if they try to become better than what they are, the policemen instantly act and crack down on them hard, putting them into jail even. Poverty is a given constant because no matter how much they work, they do not see the money that comes from the sale of the bangles. They are given a very, very small percentage of what they make. This is also due to the caste system that is prevalent. Their caste fits them just for the making of bangles. They are not able to do anything else. And since they have no schooling, they cannot do anything else. The author asks Mukesh, "You're sure you want to be a mechanic?" He says, "Yes, I want to drive cars." So she tells him, "Why not planes?" And the boy is embarrassed because he has never thought about planes. He says, No, I only want to drive cars." Why is that? Because he can see cars every day on the street, but how many planes fly over Firozabad? This is actually a very powerful way of telling us that these children's dreams even have limits. They dream of things that they can see. They cannot even dream of flying planes because for them that is outside their limited scope of knowledge. Who are the characters in these stories then? The first story, of course, belongs to Saheb Alam, a young boy whose job it is to go through garbage. The second story belongs to a boy called Mukesh, who is from a bangle selling family. The third person is the narrator, the author herself, Anees Jung. You have Mukesh's sister-in-law, Mukesh's grandmother, Mukesh's father, a young girl called Savita. You have the old lady and the old man who are not named. There are 2 stories here. The first is set in Simapuri, which is a part of Delhi, and the second is set in another town called Firozabad, in Uttar Pradesh. Firozabad is famous for bangles, and Simapuri on the outskirts of Delhi lacks even the most basic of amenities. What are the literary devices in play here? Firstly, of course, since the author is speaking, it is a first-person narrative. It allows us to form an instant connection with the story. Then there is the literary device of juxtaposition, like the name Saheb Lord of the Universe, and the reality of his poverty, his impoverishment. What a huge statement is made by placing the two of them together. The bangles, which are so colorful, and the drab lives, the poverty-stricken lives of the makers. There are a lot of symbols over here, like how shoes represent social mobility and status. These tennis shoes with holes that Saheb was wearing, it shows unfulfilled dreams. Bangles, they represent both tradition, and yet it is also a burden on some people. The author Anees Jung also brings forward a lot of vivid imagery, like when she describes the slums having roofs of tin and tarpaulin, or when she says there is no water and no sewage. She describes the spirals of bangles in their different colors, or how the lanes are choked with garbage, and how the walls themselves are crumbling. The author also uses metaphors, like his dream looms like a mirage. The dialogue is also used as a literary device, allowing the children to speak in their own voices, allowing us to feel that it is more authentic and real. A good contrast is also established, how the green fields of Bangladesh contrast to the slums of Delhi, the tennis players from a life of privilege, and Saheb, who comes from a life of poverty. The dreams of Mukesh and the shattered dreams of the people that he knows who simply have lost the ability to think of a better life for themselves. What are the themes of the story then? Lost childhood. It comes out very clearly in the title of this chapter itself. These children are forced to work for their survival, for their existence. They do not even have the pleasure of dreaming of becoming somebody better. A powerful theme of poverty and social inequality also runs through this. How come some people have everything? A person is able to play tennis in a club that he or she belongs to. A boy cannot even dream of going into that club, whereas another cannot even think of becoming a pilot. The theme of child labor, which was very prevalent in India but which is becoming less now. However, it still exists. Child labor should never ever be encouraged. Unfortunately, even though it is illegal, children do work in very bad conditions. The theme of migration and displacement of people, how just for the basic needs like food, they even travel across borders all the way from Bangladesh to Delhi. The theme of traditional occupations just forced upon children by their caste, by the place where they are born into, by the family in which they are born into. The theme of exploitation, how the middlemen, how the authorities, the bureaucrats force such an economic system upon these people that they stay in poverty. The theme of hope, no matter what the circumstances, there is still hope in some of these children. They dream of becoming better than what they are. There is also the theme of identity and dignity, that even in the most crushing conditions of poverty, people try and preserve their identity. They try and have some sense of dignity that will allow them to stand up with their head held high. That's the chapter then for you. I do hope I have been able to help. If I have, please remember to like, subscribe and share. There may be others out there who would require our help. Thank you for watching.